there is another strike going on. Another strike going on, and this time it's with Zenimax. And this article says Zenimax union vote authorizes strike against Microsoft. Oh man, the problems are within. The problems are within. So, and there's another on this article as well. We'll read this in a second. So, Zenimax Workers United, a union representing over 300 quality assurance workers in both Maryland and Texas, have voted to authorize a strike against the company. All right. In an announcement on Tuesday, which is today, it was revealed that nearly 95% of voters were in favor of this authorization. According to the press release announcing the authorization, members of the union say that the decision comes as negotiations between Microsoft, Zenimax, and the union failed to make any meaningful progress into a second year. Specifically, return to office mandates. I keep telling you about these return to office mandates. I don't know when jobs will learn, when these corporations will learn. People do not want to go back into the office. And especially if you're in the union, you do have the power to be like, F that. Like, if this is what you're going to make us do, then no. The answer is going to be just outright no. Keep telling y'all, I don't know when they'll learn. We're in a different time. People do not want to make the commute anymore, especially if they do not have to, and if they are still effective without going into the office. Okay. Along with underpayment, of course, not getting what you feel like you are owed will always cause these situations to arise. But these two things are causing friction between the groups. Okay. Underpayment and the costly RTO initiatives have caused many of us to put our lives on pause because our income does not match even the rise of the cost of living in the city where Zenimax insists that we live and work to maintain employment. And yeah, shout out to Jericho. Appreciate you for the 46 months. But yeah, I mean, especially if you're in a high cost of living city and you made that, that initial transfer, maybe if you were in another state or city and you made that commitment, you moved to the city, to maybe work either remote or a hybrid situation, and then everything's going okay. And then they're like, "Hey, man, you gotta come into the office now. Like you were doing a hybrid situation, or you were doing remote. Now we're gonna make you come into the office 5 days a week, and we're not gonna pay you, enough to survive because your rent has went up, your electric bill has went up, groceries have went up, so." All of that has went up, but you're still not paying me a proper compensation to meet that demand. So again, people gotta eat out here, and these jobs just don't care. They're just going to constantly underpay you. Now, again, that could be subjective, but usually when people say that they're underpaid, like we typically believe them because 99% of the time it's true. 99% of the time it's true. What up, preach? What's popping? What's popping? Okay, so Zenimax Workers United, CWA, local 6215, blah, blah, blah. None of us wishes that come to this. Yeah, I don't think anyone like wakes up and says, you know what, I'm gonna go on strike. And I would get everybody in union with me. I don't think anybody wakes up and says that. But if negotiations break down, then y'all don't get what y'all want, then you have every right to do so. But if Microsoft and Zenimax continue to demonstrate at the bargaining table that they're unwilling to pay us fair wages for the value our labor provides to our games, we'll be showing them just how valuable our labor is. Interesting. Union member and associate QA tester Aubrey Litchfield added, our in-house contractors have been working on minimum wages with no benefits, including no paid sick time. Yeah, you gotta love those contract workers, man. It's just you literally get nothing but just a paycheck. You literally get nothing but just a paycheck. Starting a new job next week. Nice. Yeah, family's good. Workers are choosing not to start families because of the uncertainty of finances. That's smart. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at people being smart. You're like, you know what? If I can't survive myself, if I feel like I can't make enough to take care of myself, then how would I feel comfortable taking care of myself and a whole family? I wish more people were smart like that instead of just having kids and not realizing, hey, I'm going to be struggling to take care of these damn kids. We released multiple titles while working fully remote. Again, so they're working fully remote. So how dare you ask after all of this and you're not paying me enough to come into the office? I think that's the thing that pisses me off more. I mean, obviously, being paid fairly is important, but that back to office mandate, bro. Like, just, it pisses me off so much. Pissing me off so much in the corporate world, bro. They say you about to lose your job in a minute, man. Oh man. They said, when will enough be enough? When will enough be enough? It's important to note that the union isn't officially going on strike. What the authorization vote means is that should negotiations continue to move forward without progress, then the union can call on the strike without another vote. And then an update from Microsoft. Microsoft says our quality assurance team is an integral part of our business and is key to our ability to deliver games our players will love. If you truly feel that way, then why have negotiations not progressed? I wonder. Are you just throwing a little cherry on top there? You spicing it up, but is that truly how you feel? Do you feel like the QA team is an integral part to your business? Respect the team's right to express their viewpoints and are deeply committed to reaching a fair and equitable resolution that acknowledges the team's contributions. There's been substantial progress over the course of the negotiations, reaching tentative agreements on a majority of topics at the table. We are presenting a package proposal that we believe is fair. If accepted, it will result in immediate compensation increases. Okay. I wonder what that would be. Wonder how much that is. What's the percentage? What's the percentage? Because y'all always trying to give 3%. You really need like 5 to 7, to be honest. You really need 5 to 7 in order to keep up. Even more robust benefits and is in alignment to the company's hybrid model of 3 days in office. Okay. So they are proposing a hybrid model. Okay. Well, that's better than the back to office, the full back to office mandate. But again, if you were working fully remote, why would you want to come back into the office? What is the reason to have pizza parties? Is that what y'all want? You want to see my ugly face? Is that what you want? Like, you want me to be miserable because I have to make this commute every day to come into the office? What is the true reason? And do not say because we want to be a family, we want to be a team, we want that camaraderie. I feel like if you're back in the office, then you'll be much more efficient, that you'll be much more productive. No, the studies have not shown that. The studies have not shown that. Okay. So do not just bring me that bull talking about, oh, you'll be more productive if you're in office. No, I can actually multitask way better working remotely. I can multitask way better remotely. Okay. We look forward to continuing the progress during negotiations. So okay, all right, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But if the QA testers, if the QA team is really as important as Microsoft and Zenimax are saying here, then they should cave in, and let people work fully remote. Because again, I don't understand what the true reason is for this whole weird back to office mandate and not paying your employees what they actually need, not compensating them fairly. Okay. All right. So that's that. Next bit of news. The talent is just not good anymore. So we got an esports player, Lats Envoy, said bags on the COD Pro player pool. Okay. All right. So we got some shit talking. That's what I'm hearing. And we got some shit talking. He says, so sick of the food industry, man. Every industry is really bad. So this article says, since 2020, fans of the Call of Duty esports scene have questioned the downsizing of the top most tier of the competitive ecosystem. When the Call of Duty League was created, it was cut to accommodate just 12 franchise teams, which has long been a sticking point with viewers and competitors alike. During a recent stream, LA Thieves, Dylan Envoy Hannon spit some, I said Lats, Lats on that things LA. Anyway, says spit some home troops about the state of play in response to his chat talking about expanding the CDL, the Call of Duty League. He's of the mindset that an expansion would just yield more dog shit teams. That there isn't enough talent to flesh out a broadened COD league. Okay. All right. So he says if the Call of Duty League expanded, then it would just have more dog shit teams on there. Okay. The Call of Duty League has long faced a problem with competitive integrity or balance. The best example of this right now is a split between Atlanta FaZe and the Vegas Falcons. The former team has claimed two of two major tournaments this year, while the latter org has yet to win a single series. Dang. So they said Ace's team, Ace's City, the Vegas Falcons are crap. They're just getting boo-booed on constantly. Interesting. Interesting. There are teams in the CDL that just cannot compete against the top tier squads. And Envoy argues that adding more teams to match the days of the Call of Duty World League won't solve the problem. If anything, it'll make the situation worse. That's just because there aren't enough good players coming up to fill the roster. Expansion is not needed. This is quoted by Envoy. Expansion is not needed. This shit is dead. You think some of the matches are boring to watch now? The talent is just not good anymore, bro. It's straight up like some of the talent nowadays is better and the teams are structured better, but there is way less talent. For CWL, the COD World League, last time there were 16 teams, the bottom 16 were still dog shit. The matches will be even more uncompetitive. It's unfortunate for like the Falcon boys and stuff. They're obviously making switches after they tried out their roster, but like if you added four more teams, it would all be like that unless you just added like you made like a draft. It doesn't change that all the top teams have the best budget and the most resources. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the NBA. Like the NBA has had a real big problem when it comes to big market teams versus small market teams, and what a small market team is able to garner via talent. And a lot of times they can't spend those dollars to get those players, or the players just outright don't want to play for your team. Because right now it's a player league, even though Adam Silver is trying to change that, but this has been a thing for a very long time. And then you have those situations where you have, quote unquote, the super teams. That hasn't been working out, since I would say LeBron kind of dead at that. But super teams are still trying to be made. You see these crazy moves being done, and every now and then, you'll be able to pair, two or three really good talent on a team, and then have some really solid role players. But a lot of times, man, these GMs and owners just be shooting for the fences. Like, oh, I'm just gonna get some I'm gonna get two or three superstars to just like delete my whole bench and then think that it's gonna work. And half the time that doesn't work. But going back to this situation, yeah, like the team with the most resources and the most money, of course they will be able to garner the best talent, or better talent than some of the teams that don't have that notoriety, that don't have that money and don't have those resources. So it sounds like the same thing is going on in the Call of Duty League. So of course you'll have the phases, the optics, the 100 themes, those notable teams. Of course they're going to have the best talent, or they should have the best talent, because they're long standing, they have money, or at least they generally they have money, and they have resources, they have the notoriety. So that makes sense. Versus another team just starting from scratch, and you have to just scrounge up some players and just hope that they can compete. When you have these killers that have been playing for a very long time, just essentially it's a pub stomp at this point. So I get what this person is saying. Like I said, I don't watch Call of Duty competitively, so I don't know the true ins and outs, but this is what I'm gathering from what he's saying. And he's saying that this has been a problem for a while. Like, it's not fair to have FaZe face the Vegas Falcons, and then FaZe just wins 2 out of 2 tournaments and the Vegas Falcons don't win anything. So yeah, it's interesting. So that's esports has the same problems as professional physical sports. Interesting. To continue here, he argued that the lowest teams in the Call of Duty League are on par with challengers teams, which is I've seen this, and it sounds like Call of Duty doing the same thing. But some of these leagues have created like I would like junior leagues, and it kind of reminded me of like the Premier League in soccer or football. where you'll have those premier teams that play in like the parent league or the big boy league. But if you don't win games or if you don't score enough points, then you have the chance to get knocked out of the big boy league, and then you'll get knocked down to like a B league. So this what it sounds like this is doing, and this is what the challengers is. It's kind of like that B league, or in NBA terms, it's a G league. You know, in a sense, it's a G league where you'll have those other teams, and then they'll, you know, essentially challenge to be in the big boy league. And again, with the circuit that operates beneath the CDL. So even before already, I was like, that's what it is. Um, and then Ubisoft's VP of esports went on record stating that without new talent, esports games will die. Okay. And I think that's pretty obvious, right? So the question is, how do you get the talent? How do you get the talent? How do you get people that want to play? How do you develop them um to get to that point? Because what I feel like has been happening since the beginning of esports and its popularity have been just a lot of YouTubers just showcasing their games, and you know, one might be cracked, and then one of these leagues will come to them, or one of these teams will come to them and be like, hey, you want to be on the roster? But I wonder how many players who play esports, you know, not just with Call of Duty, but with any other video game, competitive video game, how many of those players were like just okay, like average, like myself, for example. I consider myself an average to slightly above average player in a lot of games. But how do I make it to the next level? Do you work with somebody? Like, do you have a development team? Like, do you have a farm system? I don't know if esports are like that. I know that other sports, you know, professional physical sports are like that, like baseball, for example, the NBA with the G League. So like you have those other systems in place to develop your talent, but do you do that in esports? You know, maybe you should lean into that more. I don't know how many do that. Like I said, I'm not fully tapped into esports these days, but I wonder how many teams do that, and two, how many are actually successful with doing that. Because if they are churning out more talent and developing these players to be better, then I feel like what Envoy said would kind of be null and void, even though I agree with him at this point. So I mean, I don't know what other solution that you would take here. Because I thought that, you know, these colleges, when they were offering scholarships for you to play games professionally, I thought that that was kind of another means to get that talent, outside of just someone applying to be on the team, or you spotting this person because they're cracked on YouTube or cracked on Twitch or cracked on TikTok, you know. So and they just want to join. They play this game, whatever, you know, their favorite game is for, you know, 12 hours a day, and they're just insane. And then you're like, hey, you know, want to be on the team. So I don't know. I don't know. And not like a lot like Phase Topic and other big ones in League and Val. So it's interesting. And so that this VP of esports continue. If there isn't enough fresh talent passing through the rotation to keep roster stacked and the same competitive, titles will simply die. And he said titles will die. He's not even saying just esports as a whole. He's saying like the games will actually die. So esports just as a whole just has a lot of issues now. It has a lot of issues. I still want esports to thrive, but I don't know what's truly going to save esports and have more people watching and have more revenue coming through, because it sounds like Call of Duty is having this problem, Overwatch has this problem, League has had this problem. Like, it's been a lot of restructuring, a lot of teams just outright saying, I don't want to have a team for your video game anymore. So I don't know. Esports is seeming a lot more volatile as the years go by. But we'll see. We'll see if it you know, if they can right the ship. If they can right the ship. But very interesting though. Envoy's viewpoint on the situation. And I have to say again, I agree with him. I agree with him. All right. We got Elden Ring. We have Elden Ring. We have Elden Ring gameplay. Elden Ring gameplay for a new class called the Iron Eye. A new class called the Iron Eye.
Peggy 16.
Oh wow. Gotta admit, looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. What up, Paladin? I have fun fact, I've never played with the bow. Like, I don't even think I tried to play with the bow on Elden Ring at all. So, I mean, maybe I'll try this class out. I think I'll try out every class just to see. But it looks pretty cool. Especially if it doesn't use your mana, just straight up just bow and arrow. Like I think that would be better, a little bit better than playing as a mage class. Like I said, I did not have fun playing Night Rain as a mage class, bro. I was like, man, I need my spells. I was running out of mana too quickly. It was just not a good time. So I was like, man, I'm just trying to swing. So but the bow class looks pretty cool. Bow class looks pretty cool. So